Hello and welcome back, you beautiful beings. I am delighted once again today to be joined by Amanda, and you might remember her. We had a little chat together on Faith maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and we are so happy to be back again today to discuss tools and resources that have helped us on our spiritual journey. But before we do that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the amazing Amanda. I always call her Amazing Amanda in my mind. She is an incredible coach and guide who specializes in helping people through life transitions and the integration of spiritual experiences. So Amanda is amazing at helping you through whatever changes you're going through in your life at this time. Maybe it's a relational change, a new job. Maybe it's a change in your mindset or ideology. Maybe you just had a tower moment, or you're dealing with an illness, or you've become a parent, or maybe you had a psychedelic experience or an ayahuasca journey and no one understands what you went through and you need a listening ear. Whether it's one of these things or really any aspect of your spiritual journey, Amanda is here to support and assist you. And as a special little holiday gift to all of you, because we love you so much, today we are going to be offering the opportunity for you to win a free session with Amanda, so you can talk to her about all your things, about your spiritual tools, your journey, your life transition, whatever's on your heart at this time. And you guys, if you win, you are very lucky. If you would like to be entered to win, and you get that feeling of, yes, I think I would like to talk to this woman at any point during this call, I invite you in the comments below to please comment with an orange heart emoji. Okay, that's our seasonal heart here in the States. It's almost Thanksgiving time. Orange heart and your first name. And in my next sit down video, I am going to be choosing a very lucky winner who will get a chance to sit down and talk to Amanda. So please comment below, orange heart, plus your name. I may enter myself. I think I will, okay? I think I will. But welcome, Amanda. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Maya. Thanks for having me back on. It's always such a pleasure to chat with you. And yeah, whatever topics we delve into, it's just always so much fun. And I'm so happy to be offering a free session to somebody from your lovely audience. So thank you.
Yay! We're building community over here, and I love our talks. And let's get into it. Yeah, we are going to share some tools that have helped us along the way as we've grown in our spirituality. So, Amanda, name a tool. Tell me a tool that's kind of helped you connect to spirit or grow your soul.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few. I think the first one that comes to mind is actually something that you talk about a lot on your channel, Maya, which is human design. And the reason that I think knowing your human design is such a fantastic spiritual tool, or just kind of tool for navigating your journey, is that it's like being handed like the missing operating manual for you, like for this incarnation, for who you are, right, in this lifetime. And it's like, I continually will go back and look more in depth at my human design, and I'm always so floored by how deeply things resonate and how deeply things about my design explain certain things just about my behaviors, like my tendencies, like the way that I feel happiest, the things that make me unhappy, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, it's very healing. Would you agree with that? Like, I just find it so healing and so empowering.
Yeah. Yes. I think self-discovery is a huge part of the journey of the soul and what it means to be sort of on that quest. And human design has provided to me some of the most valuable information to help me discover who I am. And just in general, I think just human design, especially if I think of like the past 2 years, it may be one of the greatest tools. I remember discovering that I was a generator, and just that alone, like at the time I wasn't sleeping well, and just the very basic understanding that like generators are meant to go to bed tired and spend their energy, like fully spend their energy every day to sleep well. I remember that alone changed my life. And then like I started doing more and I started sleeping better, and then the sleep itself led to greater spirituality. I started having dreams and started dreaming readings and dreaming visitations from the guides, and like, yeah, human design is the gift that keeps on giving. It really, 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 really is. I love that. I love that as a tool. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like a never-ending, like, fascinating rabbit hole. Like, I don't know, like, just recently I was really getting, I think you know this, Maya, like, really getting into reading about my specific incarnation cross, and I was just like, wow, this just keeps feeling more and more relevant, and it allows you to, I think it's great for self-forgiveness, you know, because so many times we can be really hard on ourselves about, like, how we handled certain situations, or, I don't know, just, like, we showed up in a way that we, I don't know, we weren't sure how it affected other people, and we felt bad about it or whatever. And there's just something about knowing, like, at least for me, knowing about the intricacies of my incarnation cross. I was just like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be like that. You know, like, I'm supposed to kind of, I mean, I'm very loving and I'm very compassionate and I'm very kind, but, like, there's a little bit of something in me where I'm kind of supposedly supposed to provoke people to kind of go to their next level and to like change their perspective on things. And sometimes that can be a little bit like, I've felt that come out of me at times, and then I've been like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it was just natural, right? So learning about this was so healing for me, and I was like, it's okay, you know, like it just helps so much when you kind of do those replays of things that you might have said or done in your past, like, and you can be like kind of down on yourself about things, right?
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, totally. Like, it totally helps you understand who you are and who you're meant to be. And ultimately, like, the spiritual journey is one of discovering and then living our purpose. And I think for me, like, that's been the same for astrology in a way. Like, I remember, like, I always was into the mysteries and the taboo and spending all my time thinking about that, but, like, never telling anyone. And then I remember, like, discovering that, like, my sun and Mercury and Venus were in the 8th house and all this kind of stuff. And I felt like it finally gave me permission to be who I am without judgment and without guilt and without shame. And I recently recommended, like, on my channel, a particular near-death experience account from Vinny Toloff. And he says that he sat down with his guide in the spirit world, and his guide taught him that authenticity is one of the core principles for a satisfactory spiritual life on earth. And yeah, like, I feel like the human design, and for me earlier on in my journey, it was numerology. That was more accessible to me and easier to understand. Looking at a natal chart at first, I was like, what? Like, like, what is this? You know, like, this is madness. And it took me like 7 years to really understand how to comprehend the astrology. But yeah, all the tools of self-understanding. I just even remember, I remember discovering I was a life path 7. And I think I found that out when I was like 20 years old. And that was so healing. I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's why I'm introverted and weird and like reflective. But I'm also interested in science and spirituality. And like, and then I remember I found out my sister's a 7 too. Oh my God, that's why we're both so weird. And just like, I don't know, like those bits of self-understanding, like it's so helpful. Like, to understand, I think it can be hard to sort out, like, what's true to who you are and, like, who a higher power made you to be in this life versus, like, what did you pick up along the way? And I think tools like human design,
the conditioning.
Yeah. human design, astrology, numerology have all been critical tools. And yes, they definitely have helped me personally to differentiate what's my true and authentic self from what is my conditioning. And that deconditioning process is that's what human design is all about. So I love that you shared that first. That is beautiful. Yeah. And what other tools are core to you?
Other tools. So one that I use a lot, it might not necessarily be thought of as like spiritual per se, but I go on walks every single day. And this is something that I kind of only really started doing maybe about 9 months ago or something like that. But I go on walks. I live in a city where there's a beautiful river that goes kind of all along the length of the city, and you can walk for ages along a path by the river. So I go on that walk, but I don't just go, like, if you think about why somebody might want to go on a walk, you know, for quote-unquote spiritual purposes, I think it's kind of like to feel closer to nature. If you can be in nature, that's great, because that's very balancing, very healing, will kind of help just, like, purge any anxiety out of your body. But I also like to add in an intention for my walks. So what I do is, rather than just walking and like trying and just like thinking, because you can do that on a walk too, right? Like you can really be in your head and have these sort of swirling thoughts going through your mind. What I try to do is set the intention that the purpose of the walk is to release the mind's grip, is how I think about it, like on my physical body. So it really helps for anxiety, like, and just sort of general stress. I find that, you know, when I'm stressed, when I'm a little bit anxious, or when I'm feeling really down, which does happen sometimes, you know, you really feel it in your body, right? And what you're trying to do is feel better in your body. So going on a walk just clears your head a little bit, you know, just by default. But if you actually add in my experience, an intention where you're like, this walk is designed, like I am intending that this walk is going to kind of like gently separate the mind from the body, or remove, you know, the negative effects that the activities of the mind are having on the body. And I find that helps so much. It gives you kind of like a theme and a focus for your walk. It makes it so much more enjoyable. And then by the time you're done or you're back home or whatever, it's like, I don't know, because intention just works. Like if you set an intention for something you have control over, it's like it happens, right? So it's like these really lovely healing kind of spiritually cleansing walks that I rely on a lot.
Yes. You know what I was thinking? So many things while you were talking, but one thing I random thought I had is like, I think we both live in capital cities. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. That is true, yes.
Just a little synchronicity between us. You're reminding me, again, all the way back at the beginning of my spiritual journey. Now this was literally called a toolkit, so it's very apropos for today's talk. But I got this toolkit. It was called the Empath's Toolkit. And it was, I swear the author's name was Michael Smith. So it's like a very generic name. But anyway, this man, Michael, his name was definitely Michael for sure, the Empath Toolkit. And he was talking about how for empaths, we need to move our energy. And he was very tied to like the Native American tradition. And I remember he was saying like the wind can cleanse our aura. And like we need to like move our arms, and he recommended like all these stretches and stuff, but they actually do work. Sometimes I'll do them like if my energy is like really stagnant, but it's like arm circles and stuff like that. I'm doing it right now, but you can't see me, but like it actually does work. Like if you get like nasty energies or like you feel stagnant or like stuck or like bad vibes, like just to move your body. And you know, we know from science like walking releases serotonin, dopamine, like norepinephrine, like all these feel good, like positive hormones even that make us feel better. I mean, walking for me has been such a tool as well. Like if I am stuck, like sometimes if there's a problem, I can get fixated on the problem, like, and I can't stop looking at it, or like and what I need is distance from the problem. And so I've disciplined myself to go on a walk to get space if there's ever something of stress or a problem I can't solve, and to know when it's walk time. And for me too, it's daily walks, usually around sunset at least, if not like multiple times a day. And very often I come back feeling like a changed person. I mean, it's as powerful as like pain for a healing or a cleansing for me. Every day.
It's totally.
It's wild.
It's like the problems you thought were so awful. Once you go on your walk, you're like, I can totally deal with this. Everything's fine. I don't know what I was even thinking about. And the sun too is a huge thing. Like I remember that you said that you go on sunset walks. So apparently, I personally, I don't wear sunscreen because I'm very into the sun and like the healing components of the sun. But whether or not you wear sunscreen, you can still really benefit from exposing yourself to the sun and the specific frequencies of light that come from the sun at different times of day. And like for example, it's really beneficial to be out when the sun is just rising and to be allowing those frequencies of light to enter your eyes. And sunset is another one. And then I think the other one is like noon. So it's kind of like these key moments in the in the life of the sun over the course of a 24-hour period, and it really does help to boost all the good things that are happening in your body and dissipate stress and anxiety, and throw in the walking component, and it's great. It's like a spiritual workout kind of.
Yeah, I think it gives perspective, because one of the most unhealthy things for all of us is fixating on the screens on our phone. And I know it's hard because they're very, they're a little bit like addictive. They're definitely designed to capture our attention. But just being out, seeing the sunshine, seeing the leaves fluttering in the tree, seeing the birds above, like it widens our gaze, it widens our perspective. And that actually creates in us, I feel, more of a spiritual orientation, really. Because we're no longer just focused on ourself or whatever TikTok's trying to sell us or whatever else. Like, we realize, wait a second, like, there's a big wide world out here, and a lot of it is beautiful. And sometimes when I do see the sun or the moon, it does remind me of a higher power. It's like there's this light that's shining above us. And there's something about that, or the twinkles of the stars, I often see that anchors me massively. It's like if you just look up, there's the light. And we can get so trapped in our earthly problems, our earthly lives. If you look down, you might see trash, you know what I mean? Or problems, like literally, like if you just look down, like towards the ground. But if you look up, there's light, and there's sparkles, and there's rays, and there's everything good. And I think sometimes we just need to see that, and we just need our reminder of the light that's there above. So, there's a whole tradition of walking meditations. So, like, there's definitely something to this.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, like walking through labyrinths as well, right? Like those really beautiful kind of maze-like patterns. Like that's the whole thing too. There's definitely something to all of this, and it's very grounding for sure.
Yeah. I think like everyone that I've been real close to who's like on the path or on the journey that I respect, like in terms of spiritual allies, all of them have walking as a consistent part of their life, or hiking. So I think it's a valuable tool. Like if you're not doing it, like you're not getting outside and you're not walking regularly, you might try that. I think it's very accessible for most people and very, very effective to cleanse and clear energy, ground and anchor us, promote mindfulness. Very healing, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I suppose maybe I should share a tool or two. You know, do
you have like a physical tool that you use? Or do you have something else in mind that's more like, you were mentioning something to me about a crystal. I'm very intrigued to know about this crystal that you have.
Well, I just only have one crystal at this point in time. And it's just a raw selenite crystal. And I have it with me right now. And I carry it with me, and every time I sit down to do a reading or YouTube or a call, I hold the crystal almost always in my left hand, and it seems to strengthen my connection to the spirit world. So I'm definitely not like a crystal worker. I've known people who are, and hats off to them. Like, and they know all the crystals and they're like amazing, and they know all the pyramid crystals, and I'm not that. But a well-chosen crystal, personally for me, I feel overwhelmed if I have too many. But I always have one, and like I often work like out of hotels or like when I'm traveling and stuff, and it's like my anchor. And whenever I'm going into anything important, I bring the crystal with me, and it easily fits in a purse, in a backpack, stuff like that. And for me personally, just right now, selenite is very accessible for most people, but that's the frequency that helps me connect. Do you have a crystal type that you prefer?
You know, I'm always just very, like, I have some crystals. I don't have a huge collection. I love crystals, but I'm not, like, super knowledgeable about them yet. I have a feeling it's something that I might be getting more into, but I'm always really drawn to anything that's, like, the color of the, like, Caribbean Ocean. I feel like I just keep, every time I go buy a new crystal, I don't even necessarily know what type it is, but I'm like, that's what I'm always super drawn to. And I do have one that has a really nice feeling, like kind of smooth side to it, and I will actually hold it sometimes when I'm on calls, and I don't know that I'm consciously aware that it's doing anything in particular, but I don't know. I love the ocean, so maybe I'm connecting with ocean energy or something, and I mean, I know that I do kind of work with the etheric realm, and water and the etheric realm or the ether are very, very connected. So yeah, but I don't know, that's so cool. So selenite. All right. Did you choose that, like, intentionally? Like, is there something about selenite that, I don't know, that you just feel drawn to selenite yourself?
Well, for years, like, I had an office out of a metaphysical shop, and they had all the crystals. And so, like, after hours, I would just pick them all up, and I would just feel them in my hands, like which ones resonated. There was one that was kind of like the Caribbean Ocean. I think it's called Angelite, that I really also liked. But for the most part, I mean, it's the one that just lit me up. You know what I mean? Like, without knowing that there were always like those little slips of paper that had the properties. But like for me, as a generator type, like I just would hold things and I just feel the energy, and I just got this, like I just got that, you know? So for me, it's just, yeah, like there's been a few others that I've kind of liked, but it's my one. Do you know what I mean? Like if I had to just pick one, right? Like it's like the one for me, you know? When you know, right? And so I just know. Yeah. Well, that's actually like my, like we were talking about oracle card decks as well, and I have one similarly to have you have your one crystal, right? It's like all you need is one. you know, and I'll just share briefly that, like, this deck that I have, which is another one of my major, you know, spiritual tools, has been so magical for me. It is called the Journey of Love deck, and it's really very much in alignment with, like, you know, everything you talk about, Maya, about faith over fear, and it just helps me come back to center. It's like an oracle card deck, so they're very unique messages, but every time I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm not sure what to do about something, I take a card out of this deck, and it's like mind-blowing how relevant the descriptions will be. And they're kind of like, what's the word? They're a little bit like cryptic, but they're really beautiful, the descriptions. And I find that if I tell myself, okay, I'm going to pull a card, and there's going to be something in the description for this card that's in the, you know, the guidebook that comes with the deck, that will give me the answer to the thing that I can't figure out, you know, on my own. And there always is. Like, it is so crazy and so magical. Yeah. Amanda has sent me before some of the cards that she's pulled from that deck, and it's sensational. Not everyone enjoys working with card decks, but I will say most people do. And it's just about finding the one that's right for you. And I was telling Amanda, you know, for years when I first got really into spirituality and I first became like a psychic as my job, like I I mean, it almost was melded to my body, the deck, Daily Guidance from Your Angels by Doreen Virtue. Now, blessings to Doreen Virtue. She has taken a different path. But I will tell you, like, for me at that time, that's exactly what I needed. They were just simple, clear messages. And I would pull a card for myself every single day. And for me personally, like, I am loyal to the cards that I pull. Like, I had fun sometimes, like in readings, and I was a card reader at various psychic fairs and stuff, and I would do it. I would just be fun. But when it comes to me personally on my journey, like a well-chosen card, I take very seriously. So anymore, I have no oracle decks or anything like that. I donated them all to charity. I just have one deck, and it's a tarot deck. I only pull a card when I truly need it, and then I follow the guidance for as long as it seems to be the correct guidance for me, often for like many days or weeks at a time. So whatever card I pull, I have a commitment to that. Like, I only pull a card if I need guidance. I don't do it willy-nilly. And then I follow the guidance. So my most recent guidance was the Knight of Pentacles, and I pulled that in a time of need, like maybe a week ago or 10 days ago, and I'm still following that guidance. Exactly. And I think I might be getting to close to the point of maybe needing new guidance. But that's been really, like, I just have so much respect for the spirit world. So like, if I come asking for help and I say, you know, I need direction and I would like you to direct me through the tarot, for example, and I receive a tarot card and it makes sense, which it always does. It's absolutely eerie. Sometimes I like pull a card and then I'm like, are you sure? And like a couple times, these are not my brightest moments, but like, and then I'll shuffle the deck and pull it and it'll be the same one again. And I'll be like, okay, you have spoken, right? Like that always happens, like with the Hanged Man or like those esoteric cards. But anyway, it's been a huge tool for me. And I think in general, when we're using these tools, I mean, to each their own, but for me, I do take them pretty seriously. I really do. I have so much respect for the guides and what they do. And so, yeah, cards can be great. And you can often find them, like, even at Barnes & Noble or, like, bookstores or things like that. And we're usually drawn to the one that's best for us. And if there isn't one that's best, then maybe wait, you know. But I think what you're looking for is one that feels right to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it is such a beautiful instrument of faith. I've never quite thought about it that way before, but the way that you were just talking about, like, your respect that you have for the spirit world, and you know that they will help you when you ask. So, like, of course you will trust the guidance that comes through from the card. Like, I'm going to kind of take that and put that into my spiritual toolkit, just that idea, you know. I've never really quite thought about it from that perspective before.
I see it as, okay, it's the guide's responsibility. It's their job to guide me. It is my job to take the guidance and make the very most that I can from it. So I'm not going to ask for a card unless I am going to devote myself to that card and live it out fully. And so, like, that is what I do. That's just me. But, like, I mean, I think for me personally, I understand, don't come asking for guidance unless, like, I'm ready to act on it, because it is a serious thing, you know. So I don't know, but like, yeah, I've gotten really serious about the tarots, for sure. And I guess I don't even think of myself that way, but yeah, I guess I do have like so much respect for the spirit world and the hard work of the guides, because it is hard. We're so distracted down here on Earth. Like, there's so, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I am thinking of TikTok. I don't even have TikTok, but like, imagine trying to guide someone to their soul lessons and they're completely fixated on a TikTok screen and you're competing with that. You know what I mean? Like, the guides don't have it easy. They're very capable, but it can be hard to guide someone toward their lessons in life. You know, they may not want to learn the lesson or go in that direction. So when they do come forth for me, I take it very seriously, however they do come. You know, even if it's like a dream or something, like, I just try to make the very most of every bit of guidance I receive. That's That's really key. So I've learned like over time not to utilize tools that I'm not ready to use with a sacredness, which like I learned that kind of like the hard way. Like I used to like carry around like a pendulum and stuff and use that and like maybe for things that were not as serious. And I learned, no, like we need sacredness around our spiritual tools. I learned that.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually learned how to read. Well, I never quite mastered it, I will admit for sure. But my very first ever spiritual course or program that I ever took was learning how to read the Akashic records with a pendulum. And I don't know, for me personally, I'm not saying that using a pendulum can't be great, in certain situations or for certain people. But for me, like I never felt fully, I don't know, I just didn't feel connected, I guess, to the pendulum. And I couldn't find a way to maybe make it feel as sacred as I wanted it to feel. So that wasn't really the right route for me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I see what you're saying about that. That's an interesting, the sacredness piece is important, I think.
Yeah. Like using the tools because we want to grow and develop and we're ready to incorporate what we find. I think like for me with the pendulum, it became problematic because I was getting answers, but I was asking questions that I wasn't ready to have the answers for. And it was really freaking me out. Do you get what I mean? So I don't remember what I did with that. I think I gave it to a friend, which might not be like the best thing to do, but I got rid of that pendulum. And I was like, I don't need this. Like, this is like, maybe this isn't the right, because it's kind of like an endless ability to ask any yes or no question and get an answer. And like for someone with me that's kind of got some strong Gemini placements, that's a bit too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, and unlike the tarot where there's kind of a lot of built-in like deep meaning, the pendulum just gives you yes, no. And that can be a wild journey, for sure. But that can be the right tool for someone. Definitely. And now you mentioned courses. Have courses been a core tool for you?
Yeah, for sure. I just love to learn, and I've taken so many different courses over the years. Like, and I think, again, like I feel like I'm realizing a lot just over the course of this conversation. So thank you for this, Maya. But it's like, I think where my soul is always trying to take me and signing up for different courses, whether they're more spiritually oriented or more kind of on the scientific side or even more on like the, like business and marketing side, because I've done a lot in that area as well. I think it really is like my soul trying to guide me on this path of, like, I think of it as gnosis, like the word like GNOSIS, and that's gnosis, which is knowledge, I guess, and wisdom. I think it's a Greek word. I hope I'm not messing that up. I'm pretty sure it is. But basically, like knowing more about the way, like the deeper truths of the universe, and then the deeper truths that have to do with myself. Like that really like ancient maxim, like know thyself. So that the whole theme of authenticity that you were mentioning earlier, like if I take a marketing course, for example, it's like I'm realizing now it's because I'm trying to find a way to communicate having to do with, the services that I offer in a way that will really be authentic, like that will allow me to bring forth my personal truth so people can connect with it and see themselves in me and vice versa. Like there really is, anyway, so this whole theme of learning, growing through absorbing truth about myself, self-discovery, learning about, things like the laws of the universe and crystals and how they work and, different things like that. Like that is really spiritually enriching for me personally. And I think for a lot of people, it's like, there's so much you can learn, and it's also healing. It's also empowering.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people that have done online courses and online groups. Like most of my like core spiritual friends have, but I have not. Like for me, I've always, I guess it's because I have such a direct connection, like, to the guides. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
my equivalent of that is like the library. Like, the library itself has been such a key tool for me on my spiritual journey. Like, all the initial books that I read that were so core to me on numerology, or like my favorite book in the world, Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Like, I got all these books like at the library. And now, like, I mostly use my library card for audiobooks. And yeah, absolutely life-changing. Yeah. Like, it's basically like free Audible or whatever. And I listen to ideas that expand me. But also the library, at least where I've been, has always had free talks, and they've had lectures on paranormal research and on Reiki and different spiritual topics. I feel like so many people just don't take advantage like of the public library, and I always tell people, go, go, go. Like, there's even libraries in the spirit world. Libraries are extremely spiritual. Like, they're definitely like they really are. Like, they're the places, central places of learning and discovery and storehouses of knowledge. So libraries have been core to me. Yeah. Well, maybe we ought to each share about one more tool. What do you think? Do you have another one?
I'm trying to think. What else do I do? Oh, I have one it might kind of sound a little bit silly, but so I guess when I think about, like, when I'm feeling out of alignment or, unbalanced or whatever word you want to put to it, I think of that as meaning that I'm not experiencing myself as my true, nature, which is a soul, right? We're all souls. Mm-hmm. And instead I've gone into the mind, and I'm kind of like identifying with the contents of the mind. Mm-hmm. So one tool I have found that brings me out of that space where I feel like I'm identifying with the contents of my mind and my thoughts, and I feel like I am my thoughts and all this, is humming. And it's something that just really quiets the mind, and it really feels good in the body. And I sometimes do it while kind of putting two fingers under my, oh gosh, I'm forgetting what it's called. Like, kind of like your solar plexus area, like where you can feel that, like, the bottom of your ribs connect. I'm forgetting the name of it now. But yeah, I'll put like two fingers in there, and then I'll hum. And it just kind of brings me back to center. And it's a really good tool, especially if you don't feel like, if you're not really into meditating, or you don't really feel like meditating kind of works for you, or it's more stressful, because some people I know get really, understandably, like, it can be stressful. You sit down, you try to meditate, and you can't quiet your mind. This is something you can do before meditating or instead of meditating. And it kind of has like a similar effect, I find, to a really good deep meditation, which is great if you're not into that kind of thing, right? It's just like another thing to try to bring you back into your body.
Mm-hmm. Humming is brilliant. Like, as soon as you said that, I remembered that was innate within me when I was a little girl. Like, whenever I was scared, distressed, really? I would always hum straight away. Like, I can specifically remember, like, the first day of school. That was scary for me personally. Like, and just like naturally I would hum. And always, whenever there was discordant energies anywhere, like, whether it was someone I knew or not, like, I could just feel stress around me, I would hum, and then things would calm all around me. And it's always been that way, and I still do it. Sometimes I'll do it quietly, but if I sense that people are distressed even around me, like a doctor's office or something like that, like, I'll start humming. I think that it's powerful in frequency and vibration. A lot of these tools, like, I realize, like, you don't need to know how a tool works in order for it to work. Like a lot of the humming, like, we may not fully know why, but we know that it does. And I think trusting in that. And I guess this probably wouldn't be complete in talking about tools, at least from my end, without talking about prayer and just like general like conversation with God and with the guides. Because if I think about like my actual life, like daily life, I mean, I use tools here and there, but the main thing is constantly asking for the help, support that I need, and recognizing where God, the angels, spirit has worked in my life, and providing thanks, and just keeping that dialogue ongoing, that is a huge tool. Like you could take away my crystals, take away my library card, take away my walks, that would suck, but like you could take all of that away, but as long as I still had prayer and connection and conversation with a higher power, I think I would still be on the quest. But if you took away that conversation with the spirit world, even with all the other tools, I would have nothing. So like for me, my day begins and ends with prayer. And every little moment in between that I get to myself is usually like a little prayer, whether it's for help or whether it's thanks, or that's core for me. It doesn't have to be core for everyone. And there's different ways. Some people, some people journal, some people use affirmations, mantras, and I use those things too. But I think that conversation with the spirit world, and that it's a way of living, that it is a huge resource and tool for me.
Yeah. Well, I think it has so many benefits. I don't do that much of it, to be honest, but when I do it, it's like, it's just such a lovely feeling to be intentionally in communication, even if you're not hearing anything back necessarily. I mean, I know you do, Maya, but like, I don't necessarily hear anything back, but it's like to know that you're taking that time to connect with a higher power, to connect with the guides who are there and who are trying to support you on your journey. Like, it's a very sacred thing, right? Like, and it brings that sacredness into this life where we're really kind of, I don't know, like, we live in this material world, and it's so easy to forget that there's anything that exists beyond this. And it's like, if you take that time to just honor the fact that there is something beyond this, I don't know, I think it does open the door to, small and big miracles happening. And it's so easy to forget to do it. But like, I have seen great results on the times when I do remember to do it. So yeah, thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like an orientation to the world beyond. Because like, if I wasn't always talking to them, and it's my loved ones in spirit, so sometimes I forget them, but the best days of my life are the ones where I'm like, sup, grandpa and other grandpa and grandma, and like one of my favorite loved ones in spirit, who was one of my teachers growing up, and I just love her so much, and I always feel her immediately. Like, when I bring her to mind and connect with her, like, those are the best days of my life. Like, we can feel so alone or misunderstood sometimes on our path. And like, the material world, sometimes it can get us down, and there can be crazy down here. And just to remember, there's a whole wide world of all those who've gone before us, and higher beings of light. And just, if you, like, often they don't speak back in words, right? Like, often it's a feeling we get, or we get signs. But even if you don't get a response, just simply to say hello and understand that you're heard. That's a useful tool, just to have a practice somehow, some way of communicating with a higher power, whatever way works for you. I think that's a core tool.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Amanda, it's been an absolute joy and pleasure. Where does the time go? Like, it's been almost 45 minutes.
I know.
It doesn't feel that way at all. But as always, it's been a joy to talk to you. And I remind everyone who's listening today, if you would like to talk to Amanda and have a little call, please post below the orange heart emoji and your first name. And I am going to be pulling the winner in my next sit down video. And I'm hoping the winner is you. And I can't wait to hear all the good things about how your session goes together. So Amanda, thank you again.
Thank you. This was so much fun, just like last time. And I'm looking forward to chatting to anyone who, might want a little bit of support on their journey.
Absolutely. So thank you all for listening. Many, 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 many blessings to you. And namaste. Bye.
Bye.